Welcome to Lakshya Institute Pathankot channel. So today in lecture 17 we will discuss all the questions which are there in the previous Neet examination for class 11th for chapter 17 breathing and exchange of gases. So let's start with the video. First question. Lungs are made up of air-filled sacs. The alveoli, they do not collapse even after forceful expiration because of option A is expiratory reserve volume, option B is inspiratory reserve volume, option C is residual volume, and option D is tidal volume. The right answer is option C, residual volume. Question second. Lungs do not collapse between breaths and some air always remains in the lungs which can never be expelled because option A is there is a positive interpleural pressure, option B is there is a negative interpleural pressure it's pulling at the lung walls, option C is there is a negative pressure in the lungs, and option D is pressure in the lungs is higher than the atmospheric pressure. So the right answer is option B, there is a negative interpleural pressure pulling at the lung walls. Question third. Name the chronic respiratory disorder caused mainly by cigarette smoking. Option A is respiratory alveoli. Option B is respiratory acidosis. Option C is asthma. And option D is emphysema. So the right answer is option D, emphysema. Question fourth. Approximately 70% of carbon dioxide absorbed by the blood will be transported to the lungs. Option A is carb ammonio hemoglobin. Option D is by binding to RBC. Option C is in the form of dissolved gas molecules. And option D is as bicarbonate ions. So the right answer is option D, as bicarbonate ions. Question fifth. People who have migrated from the plains to an area adjoining Rohtang Pass about 6 months back, option A is are not physically fit to play games like football. Option B is have more RBCs and their hemoglobin has a lower binding affinity to O2. Option C is have the usual RBC count but the hemoglobin has very high binding affinity to O2. Option D suffer from altitude sickness with symptoms like nausea, fatigue, etc. The right answer is option B, have more RBCs and their hemoglobin has the lower binding affinity to O2. Question 6. A large proportion of oxygen remains unused in the human blood even after its uptake by the body tissue, this O2. Option A is helps in releasing more O2 to the epithelial tissues. Option B is enough to keep oxyhemoglobin saturation at 96%. Option C is rises the PCO2 of blood to 75 mm of Hg. And option D is act as a reserve during muscular exercise. So the right answer is option D, act as a reserve during muscular exercise. Question 7. Bulk of CO2 carbon dioxide released from body tissues into the blood is present as option A is carb ammonio hemoglobin and RBCs. Option B is 70% carb ammonio hemoglobin and 30% of bicarbonate. Option C is free CO2 in blood plasma. Option D is bicarbonate in blood plasma and RBCs. The right answer is option D, bicarbonate in blood plasma and RBCs. Question 8. What is true about RBCs in human? Option is they transport about 80% oxygen only and the rest 20% of it is transported in the dissolved state in blood plasma. Option B is they transport 99.5% of O2. Option C is they carry about 20 to 25% of CO2. And option D, they do not carry CO2 at all. The right answer is option C, they carry about 20 to 20% of CO2. Question 9. The hemoglobin of a human fetus, option A, its affinity for oxygen is the same as that of an adult. Option B has a lower affinity for oxygen than that of adult. Option C has higher affinity for oxygen than that of an adult. And option D has only 2 protein subunits instead of 4. The right answer is option C, has a higher affinity for oxygen than that of an adult. The last question for this lecture is pick the incorrect statement. Option A is the presence of non-respiratory air sacs increases the efficiency of respiration in birds. Option B is the residual air in the lungs slightly decrease the efficiency of respiration in mammals. Option C is the principle of counter current flow facilitate efficient respiration in gills of fishes. And option D, insect circulating body fluids serve to distribute oxygen to tissues. The right answer is option D. In insect circulating body fluids serve to distribute oxygen to tissues.